What if I told you that the secret to a richer, healthier farm wasn't in some expensive, high-tech chemical, but in spending almost nothing at all? Today, we're digging into a really powerful idea called zero-budget natural farming, based on the work of Rajiv Dixitji. We're going to see if this is truly a recipe for a revolution in agriculture.
So let's start with this massive number, 48,000 crore rupees. According to the source material, this is how much Indian farmers are spending on chemical fertilizers and pesticides every single year. A huge chunk of that money, billions of dollars, is flowing out of the country and into the pockets of foreign companies.
But here's the thing. The source argues that the price tag isn't just measured in rupees. This chemical dependency, it kicks off a whole chain reaction of hidden costs. Cost to the soil, to our water, and ultimately to our own health.
And that leads us right into our first section. We're going to break down exactly what the source says are the problems that come with this chemical-heavy way of farming.
Okay, this chart really shows you what we're talking about. It's a vicious cycle. The source explains that chemical fertilizers like urea are actually hot, They make the soil hard and cracked. This means you need way more water, like almost double for a crop like wheat. And once you start, it's like you're caught in a trap. Every year, the soil demands more and more fertilizer just to get the same results, which means you need more water, and your costs just keep going up and up, tied to the price of fuel.
So the really critical point here is that this problem doesn't stay on the farm. Those chemicals don't just sit in the soil. The source claims they get sucked up by the plant's roots, they end up in the grains and fruits we eat, and from there, they end up in us, building up inside our bodies and leading to some really serious health problems.
This is a direct quote from the source, and it's incredibly stark. It's referencing a figure from mythology, Putana, a demon who tried to poison a god as a baby with her milk. The speaker uses this to make a really shocking point, that these chemicals are now so widespread that they're allegedly being found in mother's milk, turning something that should be pure life into something potentially dangerous. So, if chemicals are the villain in this story, who's the hero? Well, let's move on, because we need to talk about the unsung hero of the farm, an essential little worker right under our feet.
Yep, it's the earthworm. According to the source, this tiny creature is the farmer's greatest ally. It's constantly moving, digging, turning the soil over, keeping it soft and full of air. And the central argument against fertilizers like urea is simple. It's pure poison to earthworms. So when you use it, you're killing the soil's natural ability to keep itself healthy. You're killing the original farmer. And just to put the earthworm's work into perspective, get this. A single earthworm can turn over 36 metric tons of soil in 1 year. That is incredible. The source calculates that for a farmer to do that same job with a tractor, they'd need about 100 liters of diesel. So that one little earthworm is saving the farmer thousands of rupees. But wait, there's more. All those little tunnels and channels dug by millions of earthworms, they turn the ground into a giant natural sponge. When it rains, the water doesn't just run off the surface. It soaks deep into the ground, recharging the water table. Without the earthworms, the soil gets hard and compacted, and that's how you end up with floods and droughts.
All right, so we've really laid out the problem here. Now let's get to the good part, the solution that the source proposes. It's practical, it's homemade, and it's basically free.
This is the absolute core idea. It's a total mind shift. The goal isn't to just dump chemicals on the plant to force it to grow. No, the idea is to create a living solution, a culture full of microorganisms that brings the soil itself back to life. Because a healthy, living soil will give the plants everything they need, completely naturally. So you're probably wondering, how is it done? How do you actually make this stuff? Let's get right into the practical, step-by-step guide. Okay, the recipe for 1 acre of land is surprisingly simple. You start with 10 kilos of cow dung and 10 liters of cow urine. To that, you add about 1 kilogram of jaggery, that's just unrefined sugar, and it's basically food to get the microbes multiplying. Then 1 kilo of any kind of pulse flour. And finally, the secret ingredient, just a handful of soil from underneath a banyan or peepal tree, which is supposedly just teeming with all the good microorganisms you need. And putting it all together is just as straightforward. You just mix everything up in a drum, cover it, and let it set and ferment in the shade for about 2 weeks. During that time, the microbe population just explodes. Once it's ready, you dilute that concentrated mix with about 100 to 200 liters of water, and you're good to go. The schedule is simple too. Just apply it to the soil once every 21 days while your crop is growing. So the million-dollar question, Does it actually work? Let's take a look at the results and the benefits that are claimed in the source material.
Wow. Okay, these numbers are pretty dramatic. These are from experiences reported in Maharashtra and Karnataka. For sugarcane, the yield supposedly jumped from 25 metric tons per acre to 90. Wheat yield nearly doubled, from 12 quintals, that's 1,200 kilos, to 22, and cotton almost tripled. Now, the source is clear that it can take a few years to see the full results, but still, those are some pretty significant claims. And this is the real takeaway. The profit here is so much more than just a bigger harvest. It's about cutting your costs down to almost nothing. It's about rebuilding your soil for the long haul. It's about growing healthier, chemical-free food for all of us. And maybe most importantly, it's about giving farmers a way to break free from that cycle of debt and dependency on these big companies. And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. The material we went through today makes a really compelling case that maybe, just maybe, the answers to some of our biggest problems in farming aren't in a lab somewhere, but are actually hidden in the wisdom that's been right under our noses for generations. It's definitely something worth thinking about.